My first D&D Adventurers League Experience happened today. Apologize for formatting or typos mobile. I had some prior experience to 5e, so I decided to take up the mantle of DM and bring in some friends to see if they enjoy the game. We've been learning, growing and playing for about a year now. No complaints there, except that I often get the itch to play even with my love for Ming. My wife and I decided to go to the AL meetup in our town and, well, we showed up an hour early to register and create characters. Since it was our first time, we meet the DM and start to work. About the time we are finished, two others walk in. The DM I thought we were gonna have goes to the back and pulls out another person. Super young, but whatever, I don't mind. He instead is going to be the DM, as there are enough new people to give them their own table. One of the other is probably severely on the spectrum. And again, we don't mind. But as soon as the game starts, he says I take the hand of Vecna and kill the first person I see, and just laughs for like 3 straight minutes. Every round was something, until he got bored and just walked away from the table after his turn, and then would come back with a different book completely. Sometimes not even D&D related, and try to cast something random from the new book. We eventually just let him cast whatever, and made him roll for firebolt every round, no matter what he said. The second guy was waiting on his friend, and had never played before at all. He had half a character sheet, and was waiting on his buddy to show up and help him, but hadn't gotten there yet. We offered to help, but the DM wanted to start, and he could work on it while we go. Of course though, the DM just starts with combat. You're at a camp, looking to find X, and you see 6 soldiers and a sorcerer. Roll initiative. The poor guy is terribly unprepared, and we help him enough to get him going. We are all level 1, mind you, and the first attack against me is a 24 to hit, and does 4d6 acid as the sorcerer throws a vial at me, the cleric. I'm of course down within 2 minutes of starting. Like, okay. The rest of the party is down within the next round. Don't worry, this is all by plan, says the DM. I'm ready to just go ahead and leave now and save the rest of my afternoon, but I feel so bad for the other new guy, because the DM looks at him and just straight up asks, "You seem like you're gay. Are you? I mean, that's cool, but you just seem very erotic," to which, yes, anyone with a pulse could have gauged that, but in what world is it acceptable to ask after knowing them for 5 minutes? The poor guy just mutters a yes, and I change the subject immediately, deciding to stick it out, if only to be a safety buffer for the poor player. Thankfully his buddy shows up a few minutes later and helps him finish his sheet. We wake up in a gladiator arena, and as a group of levels 1s, get to then fight to the death a separate group of level 3s. We of course run out of spells and go down to 1 character. My cleric is again targeted and downed before my first turn. Thinking thank god this clusterfuck is over, I start packing up. No, he says, the audience loves this so much they begin throwing healing potions to the single guy up, and he gets a turn to force feed us back to full health. We then actually finish them off. At this point the one kid that's never at the table is just gone, and after every round the DM gets up to go find him and bring him back with, "Been there 4 hours and absolutely want to be done." Thank god we are, but we aren't. DM comes back with new minis and says the original sorcerer dimensional doors into the arena with 2 guards. Roll initiative. Fuck me. The others actually take the guards quick, and in the only fun moment of the entire night, I roll a natural 20 on inflict wounds, my last slot. Never used it because I was down basically the entire game, and then roll 45 DMG one-shotting his sorcerer. Thankfully it was over. Missing dude is just gone again at this point. Wife and I are polite. "Good to meet you all, but we need to head home and take care of things." My god, it was bad, and good lord do we have stories going forward. Felt pretty bad for the new player though, and I hope it didn't drive him from the game. Player kills my PC, then tries to kick me out of my own dorm room. First time posting here. Story happened years ago. My first game of Vampire and Woody with college buddies, and one guy somebody knows from class. 6 of us total, and the others have the bright idea that the prelude will involve us already being vampires, but on opposite sides of a gang war with 2 storytellers GMs that will lead into us all working together after 2 sessions. As players we are divided into 2 separate dorm rooms with the storytellers communicating online. During the first session my character has a chance to sneak up on a rival gang member, which with some rolls I pull off and then roll an impressive number of successes on an attack. The storyteller has a pained look on his face and says give me a moment and starts to type away. Surprised, I ask if this is one of the other PCs and get the affirmative. So I say my character instead loses sight of him and goes elsewhere as I don't want to kill another PC. Storyteller looks relieved and lets that pass, and the session ends shortly thereafter. What I didn't know is the other storyteller mentioned to that PC's player that he was lucky. For whatever reason, I guess alpha gamer pride. This made that player want revenge. So the next session we are all playing in my dorm room instead of splitting it up. The other players are listening to my group's plan and through the vampiric power of metagaming ditch their mission to set up an ambush at the exit route our PCs plan to use. I ask when we are leaving if my character has a chance to perceive them. Nope, not even an attempt can be made. The other PCs pop out of hiding. One attacking me normally while the one that wanted revenge actives everything he has, dealing aggravated damage that I can't dodge surprised or so can flat out kills my PC. I was a bit frustrated about the death, but what came next amazed me. The player is ecstatic and gleefully tells me I have to leave the room as my character is dead. My civility being stretched very thin. I explain that this is my dorm room and that's not happening. He then decides to double down and demand from the others to remove me. Keep in mind they're all my buddies and barely know him. After getting stares in response I inform him he'll be leaving now, and he begins to fake cry, saying how no one wants to play with him and that was his big moment and we are ruining it by being mean. After realizing we are apathetic to his performance he packs his stuff up and leaves. As I type this up I'm still wondering what could have possibly been going through his head. He knew he was the new guy in a group of friends and that we were playing in my dorm room, so I'm not sure in what world he thought his plan would work. My dungeon master dislikes vampires. If I had known my dungeon master disliked vampires I never would have picked it. Unfortunately, I'm a hopeless fan of Pritwellite vampire lore. American Vampire, Dracula, Darren Shan, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. So when I saw excellent vampire as a playable race I quickly tossed my sea sorcerer tabaxi out the window and rolled up a vampire barbarian. Now, all of the following occurs on a West Marches style server, so there are multiple DMs who are elected throughout the month while players roam around the world. At first, I just thought this particular dungeon master was a little bad at planning. The first encounter he did with me was such an utter catastrophe I did my best to avoid being anywhere near any of his missions. Essentially, he put me and a bard, both level 5 against a creature that did acid damage to whoever melee attacked it. So that's fine for the bard, but my barbarian is nearly downed in the first round from this splashback. On top of the acid damage it also would cast fireball every turn it could. Both of these things were okay for the high dex bard with a crossbow, but me? Well, all I could do was try and grapple the beast. I managed to for a while, but then it crit and escaped, which I allowed because I'm sure if I had crit the DM would have let me have it, even if it isn't technically the proper rules. So yeah, I got downed, and then immediately this creature that wasn't even bloodied gets killed by the bard. HMM. Outwardly, I remain friendly and write it off as just a brain fart and not realizing that I couldn't attack. Now, I play my character as a suave vampire who, when they lose control, rages. Essentially, they are highly diplomatic and try and avoid conflict as best they can. At some point I end up on a mission where I meet another vampire and talk her down from fighting us. Great, right? Well, then she falls madly in love with my character. My character is very honest with her, I don't love you, but I'm willing to be loyal and see where this goes. Fast forward, this girl turns out to be Strad's daughter and suddenly I'm press ganged into all of these missions with this particular DM because he runs all the vampire parts of the server. It has been awful. This particular DM is really into humiliation tactics and it gets nasty. He also cannot separate me from my character at all. If my character is angry then he thinks I must be angry and gets all PMS on my ass. To give you a taste of what I've had to put up with, my character had an adoptive son from another plotline and now he's been turned into one of Strad's vampires. In order to free him from the control of one of the lieutenants I had to kill her. Now my character doesn't really have remorse when it comes to this because she was a kiddie fiddler and was touching his boy inappropriately in front of him. That said, he actually manages to bring her back to life as a human. Long story don't ask, because he believes everyone can find redemption and didn't want to cut off that chance for her. Now all the vampires are mad she's old. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh, and because my character likes to grapple, I rolled very low, so all I can really do is flank and grapple for the team. Suddenly everything has a plus 12 to athletics. I got grappled by a maid. She took 69 damage in one hit. My maximum is currently 59 and didn't die. So the latest fuckery that has upset me is more vampire related bullshit. Essentially, because of this whole thing about killing and raising the kiddie fiddler lady, Strad wants to meet with me. Fine. My character is obviously going to cooperate because he has to think of what will happen to his kid if he doesn't. Pickup comes around and it's a mouse. My character is literally the only character who does not take an aggressive action against this mouse. It starts counting down. The monk holds an action to kick it across the room. When it gets to 1, my character, being a bit dumb, thinks it's a bomb that just looks like a mouse. So he puts his mug over it and takes cover. So despite the fact the monk crits on his held action and kicks this CR0 creature straight in its tiny face, it still gets to cast Feeble Mind on me, even though I'm behind cover. Even though I'm not the one kicking it in the face. Even though I'm the one who is meant to go talk to Strad and now can't comprehend languages for 30 days. He then puts a rage crown on my character, and then the DM starts having a go that my character is acting like an animal. I'm sorry, vampire barbarian, what was the best case scenario of reducing his int and charisma to nothing? Then his friend drops out of the mission and he immediately wouldn't play. Unfortunately we retconned the mouse ordeal, but I'm just livid. I have no choice but to do this mission just because of how the RP has played out, but I've always hated going on his missions. Not only that, but all this additional focus on me makes it seem like favoritism. A few people have suggested me leaving this group, but I'm the one who started this West Marches server. I've run it unemotionally for a year. Everything is voted on, and I have given myself no additional powers. I don't want to leave my own server.